Hi everybody, welcome back to the Academy Express. Today's class is called Elements of Style. Elements of Style is a series of classes that we host in our academy. Every topic gets discussed. Some are focused on classic styling, some are effortless and up, braiding, editorial, and to avant-garde. So one thing that each of these classes has in common is the prep. And so many hairdressers don't style hair. There's a big love-hate relationship between styling hair, and I get it. I understand there's a lot of things that I don't like to do as well. But one thing when it comes to anything that we do at our academy, any of the classes that we have, is that I've tried to simplify things. And over my career, I feel like breaking anything that we do down, whether it be hair cutting, styling, you just break it down and you build it back up. And that's really what I focus on when it comes to elements of style. Today's class is going to be focused on the prep. The common denominator between any type of styling, whether it be on your client in the salon, whether it be at a wedding, some event, photo shoots, from the simplest to the most avant-garde, prep is the common denominator. And if you don't have the proper prep, creating a really beautiful style to get it to last for a long time is going to be hard. So we're going to talk about how are you going to prep hair for the wash and go season, because summer is upon us. And I don't know where you are from, but in New York City, it went from 0 humidity to 100 in about 18 hours. So a lot of my clients and a lot of clients love to have a wash and wear look. They love to air dry. But we also have those clients that would love to air dry, but they don't know how to. And so they just would never do it. So as a stylist, imagine being able to teach your client how to wear her hair air dried. She would love you forever if you could save her 30 minutes of blow drying, or longer for some people, a day, right? Giving your clients a little bit of versatility is huge. And I think that as we start to open up salons, we need to spend a little bit more time teaching them different ways to style their hair and giving them a little bit of extra attention and making things a little bit more special than what we used to do. And it's going to make things more fun for us as well. So I'm going to go through the proper steps for air drying your hair. And then I'm going to show you a little deconstructed braid that if you've been watching these Academy Express classes, in the beginning I did a very similar deconstructed braid in one of the, I think it was like the first or second episode of it. And you can revisit that because it looks completely different. If you are not a braider, if you say, no, I can't do it, I'm all thumbs, I'm going to disagree. And I'm going to just show you a 3-strand braid, very simple, and then we're going to deconstruct it. So it doesn't even have to be beautiful when you do it. Then I'm going to show you a style that's a bit more polished. So it includes a curling iron set. And I'm going to also show you a little bit of an interesting flair that I put to it last night because I was bored and we're still in lockdown, so I just started sewing hair together because that's what one does, I guess. So I'm going to show you a really different way that you can do the same technique, but just take it to the next level. So I'm going to be working with small elastic bands, hairpins, bobby pins, a comb, sectioning clips, blow dryer, and a curling iron. Each style is going to have its own specific set of products, so I'll get into that with each style. So beginning with the first one, this is going to be the air dried look. So defining styling potion setting spray, and the styling balm. That's what we're going to need. I'm going to walk you through air drying and how to talk to your clients about air drying. Also, I know a lot of us in the salon, sometimes we put our clients under the climate zones and let them air dry that way, or we diffuse it, right? So for me, I really love an air dried look, but I would never let my client walk out of that salon with wet hair. So I would either put them under the hood dryer, the climate zone, or I would diffuse it. If I would diffuse it, then I would do more of like a flat diffuse as opposed to a scrunch. So a flat would mean that I'm basically trying to keep this as flat as possible, but I'm allowing the natural texture to come out. The hair is naturally going to expand more once the client gets out into the elements. And once it's dry, then you can shake it out. But until then, you should try to keep it on its flattest, in its flattest state, because that's what it would do if it was air drying as well. It's not going to scrunch itself. And then to go into that, when we're talking to our clients about air drying, it's very important that the process really starts in the shower. So if you can convince your client, and it's really not hard, you just have to talk to them about it and explain the whys. When they're in the shower, as opposed to wringing the hair out when they're shampooing or conditioning, you scrunch. So scrunch the shampoo out, scrunch the conditioner out. So if they can get into that habit, their wave or their natural curl will start to look so much nicer. And this really goes for the clients that think that they have really frizzy, curly hair. A lot of the times, if they just started to work their curl or wave this way, starting in the shower, they would see the transition of their hair and how the texture really starts to change. And it starts to clump up, and it creates this really beautiful, clumpy, wavy, or curly, whichever texture their hair is. It clumps together and it has less frizz, and it's less flyaway, because a lot of people don't like that as well. So shampoo and conditioner, you're scrunching. When they get out of the shower, when their hair is really wet, that's when I like to put the product in, because the hair is still clumped together. And that's what everybody loves when it comes to like beachy hair, is that like thick, ribbony wave or curl. And that's what you get when your hair is soaking wet. You're gonna put your product in then. You're gonna scrunch the product in, and then you can either finger it into place. I try not to comb or brush hair. Definitely I don't brush hair when it's wet, I get curly or wavy, but I try not to comb it either. If I can get away with just using my fingers as my comb to detangle, and typically I do that in the shower, you're gonna have more of a successful style. It's gonna look nicer once it's dried. So if some textures do need to have a bit of a comb put through it because they do need to detangle, or some textures are a bit more frizzy, right? So, and coarse. So you need to approach each client and each texture however it needs to. So changing products, I'm using specific products, but you might have to adjust your product for individual clients. So going through, and maybe you're going to just twist a few pieces once you put the product in. Don't twist the whole head. That looks too contrived. You need a little bit of natural frizz and naturalness to it. So twist a few pieces. I usually teach my clients like the crown, or maybe like the front, maybe a few pieces underneath. So there's a nice like transition, and then that's it. The most important thing is that you can't touch the hair. So you have to teach your clients patience. What you want to do is you want to really make sure that you explain to them that doing this to their hair as they're walking out the door or when they're in the car is not going to dry their hair any faster. It's only going to make it frizzy. And once the hair is dry, then they can shake it out because you'll hear, well, it's too flat. Once the hair is dry, shake it out, break it up a little bit. But that only when it's dry can you do that. So I'm applying our Defining Styling Potion from Curl Perfect. I'm scrunching it in right now, flattening out the top because right now I'm really into styles that are a bit flatter and then the wave starts to happen around the eye or the cheekbone. So flattening it out there, I'm scrunching it into the fringe area. And when you're teaching your clients, again, I mentioned it earlier, put the product in when the hair is super wet, and that'll allow this really clumpy wave or curl to set in place, and it'll keep it throughout the day and for a few extra days. From there, I'm going to apply our setting spray. And so the setting spray it's a really fun product if you haven't worked with it. It's very versatile, and it's great to show your clients how to use it, because if they like to blow their hair out, they can use the setting spray as well. And then again, this is to air dry. So Defining Styling Potion is going to fight the frizz. It's going to define the curl or the wave. And then the setting spray is going to set it. It has a bit of a hold to it. So once the hair is dried and it's been broken up, the memory is going to be, it's amazing that this style will stay in for a few days. And your client will just maybe have to put a little bit of styling balm the next day, or maybe she's going to do this fun deconstructed braid if it starts to not look so great on one side, which some of us sleep on one side more, so it might be a little straighter. I don't know. So you want to teach them how to do that, and then don't touch it. Just let it air dry, and then show them how to scrunch it and shake it out. To shake it out, you never want to break through the ends. Like the hair will start to pull. Once it starts to pull, that's as far as you can go. If you come all the way through, you're going to break that curl and wave apart, and that's when you create frizz. I have a mannequin that has been air drying all night, and so I'm going to grab her and we're going to get into our deconstructed braid. Okay, so this is my mannequin that I set out last night to dry using the Defining Styling Potion and the setting spray. So just coming through, and I'm just starting to break it up a bit. Okay, when you let the setting spray air dry, you do need to break it up if you don't want that gelled feeling. It breaks up super easy. It's very soft. It never flakes. And again, it'll keep that style in. It'll give that memory for a couple days. So now what I want to do is I want to put a deconstructed braid in. Okay, so for the deconstructed braid, I'm going to make 2 ponytails. And so working between the corner of the eye and the cheekbone, this is going to be the most flattering for most clients, is that if you can pull the hair straight this way, because it draws the eye back. So taking 2 panels, I'm not going to use a comb to section it out. I don't want really beautiful sections, but I will be working more on diagonals, whether it be this way or a diagonal coming this way, okay? And so I'm just going to put 2 elastic bands here, one in the front and one in the back. I'm going to start with the underneath panel first. When I take this panel, I want to make sure that there's enough hair that's naturally going to start to expand over this panel. So what I don't want is I don't want this whole thing to be flat and brought over. I do want there still to be some natural wave and movement. So when I take this panel, again, I'm just looking to see if there's hair to fall into the space that I'm creating. Okay, so now I have 2 ponytails, right? So now I'm just going to do a 3-strand braid in each of these ponytails. To create the braids, I'm going to apply the styling balm onto my hands. Okay, just a little bit on the back of your hand is great to have spare in case you need it. Some textures soak it up a lot. This is a really great product for braiding because it's very pliable, it's not going to get greasy, and it's not going to be over shiny. Okay, so we're just going to have 3 strands here. And I've applied the styling balm on each strand. And you're just going to cross over. You want to keep it flat as possible. So now we have 2 braids, and now we just have to deconstruct them. So to deconstruct the braids, you want to take a little piece from the ends, and you just want to start to push that braid up, and it'll start to just create these really fun shapes. You can pull it out a little bit if you want. Do the same thing here. Okay, so now we have these 2 deconstructed braids, and now all you have to do is just pin them into place. So you can really have fun twisting them around, taking hairpins or bobby pins. I'm going to do a bobby pin, wrapping them around each other, and you create this like really decorative side piece. Now this is a hairpin. I'm just going to put it in, and I'm going to reverse it. So you go in, and then you turn it back the opposite way. Gets it really nice and tight. Because I'm using clear elastic, it's easier to hide, or black elastic when you're working with darker hair like this. But you want to just like try to grab a piece and just come over the elastic. These ends are totally cute, fine just to stay out. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of the styling balm. It's left on my hands, and I'm just going to open this hair up a bit. So I'm really meaning just getting in, shaking it out. I even enjoy the styling balm when the hair's wet. Like sometimes I apply this to certain textures when the hair is wet and let it air dry. So it's good to play around. So it's just going to come through with a little bit more. It's fun. It's like a little decorative hairpiece. You know, I'm really into this look for summer. I think it's great. I know clients are going to really appreciate you teaching them how to let their hair air dry, giving them the tools, and giving them the ability to be able to do it. Also giving them a little added bonus of teaching them how to do, you know, a little deconstructed braid. Anybody can do it, a 3-strand. It would take you 15, 20 minutes tops to actually teach somebody how to do a 3-strand braid. And again, it doesn't have to be beautiful when they're doing it because they are going to deconstruct it. The key thing here is to do 2 so that you can wrap the 2 around each other and to keep in line with the eye and the cheekbone. For this style, we're going to work with 4 panels. You're going to start with a triangular panel coming from above the parietal ridge at the forehead, coming all the way down to the occipital bone, and then both sides. You're just going to work from the top of the ear, just below the top of the ear on each side, and you're just going to connect with the bottom of your triangle. So that's panel 1, 2, 3, and then underneath just below the top of the ear on both sides. The bottom would be panel 4. So the prep for this style is key. On top in the triangle, I worked with our marine thickening balm and our volumizing silk mist. I applied the marine thickening balm first and then the volumizing silk mist on top of that when the hair was wet, and I dried it. I dried it with the root direction going up, very free, and then I smoothed it out quickly with just a round brush. So it wasn't anything very extravagant or detailed with the blow dry. Then I went through with a curling iron and I worked with our sunlight styling spray. And so working section by section, I would spray a little bit of the sunlight styling spray, and then I went through and I created this sectioning for the set. So working off of like a diagonal, this first row, everything's going in the same direction. The second row, everything's going in the opposite direction. As I moved back, once I got to the top of the head, I really loosened up my set, and some I went in, some I went out, some I went on top. I wanted it to be very loose and going from a tighter look into a softer look as it starts to move down through the back. So next I moved to the sides. The sides I just used volumizing silk mist, and that was it. I love using the volumizing silk mist to do any type of prep for upstyling. I think it's a fantastic product. It gives enough grip and hold that you can really start to maneuver these shapes. So I wanted to flatten out the sides, and working with my comb and my blow dryer, I started in the back and I over directed and I just blew these roots all the way back. Now the reason I started in the back is because if you start in the front, the hair in the middle and in the back, you're not going to get those roots. So when you go to slick this hair back, if she's got any type of cowlick, then you might get some bumps in there. So starting in the back, just work your way forward and just blow dry this nice and smooth and flat. Then with the last panel, I worked with just the volumizing silk mist. I worked with a round brush, just got it very smooth with a little bit of bounce to it. And then I went through with our sunlight styling spray and my iron and just put a soft wave into it, just a soft bend. Okay, so for the braiding part, I'm going to work with our styling balm. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to drop this panel from the top. You want to shake it out. I'm going to put a little bit of the styling balm on the back of my hand, rake my fingers through. I'm going to take this hair, do a little twist, and I'm just going to clip this hair down, because now what I want to do is I want to start my braiding. To start my braiding, I'm going to be working on this side, and I'm going to cross over and add in hair so that it sits very tight right under the occipital bone. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, incorporating hair from here so that it's really tight. You want to make sure that the hair, you're bringing it down, and you're not going to start the braiding, the actual twisting, until you get to the center. So pull the hair nice and tight, put your styling balm onto your hand and put it into your sections, and then you can start your 3-strand braid. You always want to add hair to the middle section, and you want to walk with your section. So when you add the hair, you're going to move to the side. And now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you continue to braid out just a little bit. So I'm continuing to braid as I work, just continuing. Because what you want to make sure that you do is you have enough room for when you start to put the elastic in, that the braid starts to fall out a little bit. Okay, so now both sides are done. You can see it sits nice and flat. The important part here is to, again, the prep for the root direction on the sides, and then working the middle section, bringing that middle section down first. And I didn't secure it with a bobby pin or anything, so just putting the clips there allows you to have a little bit of room to play and to pull some out if you need to shape the head in any manner. So I really like the soft texture that I've got going down here, and now I'm just going to let the top out. I'm going to again continue to work with our styling balm. And it's really like at this point, using your mirror. Your mirror is going to be a really big tool for you. Just like when you're cutting hair or coloring hair, you need to use your mirror for balance. The same as when you're styling hair. Too often do we get too caught up here, and then when we step back, we're like, oh God, what is that I've just done? I'm really happy with the shape. I think the lesson here, the element of this style is the prep. Right? So the prep of the root direction on the sides, the prep of the product usage from wet to dry for the volume that we needed, and then the curling iron set and the braiding. This shape can be used in multiple different ways. It can be more polished, it can be less polished, it can be tighter curls, it can be even looser, it can be straight. So you can play around with it. That is up to you and your own creativity, but the lesson is all about the prep, and just don't forget that that is just as important as what you're doing here. Okay, so have fun and play, and I'm going to show you what I did last night because I was playing while I was watching TV. All I did was I just sewed the braid and then cut some of the bits to make more of an unfinished look. So I hope that you enjoyed the session, and just remember that the element of style for this is the key common denominator for any type of styling, whether it be in the salon, on set. The easiest to the most avant-garde is going to be your prep. Your prep would be your products, your root direction, your tools, your roadmap of how you're going to create this shape. If you follow all of those, your shapes will be beautiful, long-lasting, and you will have very happy clients. I'll see you next week, and stay safe, everyone.